Hello, I'm ABX Toycat and welcome back to another video. Today I'm showing you how to build a gold farm on top of the Nether in Minecraft. This is something that is particularly relevant as of the most recent update because they've added the ability for mobs to spawn on top of the Nether, but only on the blocks you choose for them to, because they cannot spawn on bedrock, which is everything else. So now the best source of gold per minute or per hour ever is now found on top of the Nether, and today I'm showing you step by step how to build the gold farm you're seeing in the background right now. That's right, that's the finished product, which I'm going to edit in after we've done this, if I'm not terrible anyway. And yeah, that's what we're showing you how to build step by step in today's video. So please do like it if you do like it, because it helps out the channel a lot and lets me do like these step by step tutorials. They take a while to edit, so I very much appreciate that. But let's get straight into it by mentioning that I'm going to be going from, the overworld to doing this, so you can see every single step. And also, I wanted this to be a design that you can make as big or as small as you like, because the thing about most designs I saw is they seem like they were possible only in creative, which seems a bit ridiculous for a gold farm because you really don't need one in creative. But anyway, yeah, let's get straight into this by mentioning that while you're in the overworld, what do you want to do? So you start in the overworld and you're like, oh, I'd like to go to the Nether and make an above Nether gold farm. First thing you want to do is, if you have a peak or anything high up nearby you, you want to build the Nether portal up there. This will save you quite a bit of work in the Nether because, up here, for instance, we've got a Y107 mountain, because your Nether coordinates will actually roughly correlate to your overworld coordinates. Which means that if you just, for instance, let's say, if it's literally that close to your base, you might as well come up here, because it will save you so much effort every time you come in and out of the Nether, because presumably, unless you bring everything with you at once, which, by the way, if you want to do this step by step with me, I'd recommend watching it through a full time once and then watching it afterwards. But yeah, so if you want to bring everything with you, then you can, but it's a lot trickier to do that than you might think, so you're probably going to be doing multiple trips, and that means you got to bear that in mind. So anyway, that said, once you get into the Nether, and you've found yourself a nice cave, isolated from ghast and stuff, because they'll blow it up if you find that way, you want to start mining yourself up, and you want to get to the bedrock layer, because getting above that is going to be a little bit of trickiness in survival, but first of all, you need to actually get up there. So if you just keep digging till you find bedrock, which digging it up, we found bedrock, and you obviously can't break it in survival. Again, I'm just doing this in creative to show you faster. Just bear in mind, everything I'm doing in today's video can be done in survival. It's kind of optimized for survival, in fact. It's just creative is much, much faster when it comes to building something of this scale in this sort of time. So yeah, let's keep on building up with the ladder. This is going to be important because it allows us to go up and down each time. Obviously, we're in creative, we don't actually need it, so I'm just going to... There we go, roughly that is done. So now you're up here, and let's say there was still bedrock up there. What do you do next? So you need to find yourself as high up as you can in the bedrock, because there's 4 layers of bedrock, you need to get the top one. So as you go higher up and higher up in the bedrock, you actually find more and more of it. So for instance, down at the layer above me, you can see it's not mostly bedrock, but as we go higher and higher up, it's like, oh yeah, there's mostly this. And eventually you'll find the very top layer. So if you just keep looking around and mining, you'll find the very top layer of, bedrock you can get to, which is going to be mostly bedrock with just a tiny bit of netherrack. So for now, this is about as close as we can get, even though this is only the 3rd layer up. Wait, 1, 2, 3... No, this is the 4th layer up, which means if we just place a ladder up there, we can do a tricky maneuver with some ender pearls, which, by the way, you're going to need at least 2 or 3 ender pearls every time you do this. You can do it with less, but it's a really risky move to do so. So yeah, we'll replace our, just replace our power drills it, and then yeah, we're going to throw an ender pearl at the ladder. What this will then do, as long as you hit the ladder, is you'll then be on the ladder, and that means, like now, you can see on the ladder through the block, climbing up the ladder, going up here, and that means with just a single ender pearl and a tiny bit of suffocation damage, you can get on top of the Nether. Very handy, and now you're up here. This is on top of the Nether. I know a lot of you know how to do that in survival, but if you didn't, then it's kind of important to the whole guide. So, let's get straight into it, shall we? So, first thing we want to do actually is build a portal. This portal will allow you to get back and forth every single time. Unfortunately, it won't link to any overworld portals, but what it will do is allow you to go back to the overworld, then climb up the ladder, do the end pearl thing over and over again until you get here. Anyway, let's start on the gold farm now that you're up here, and everyone knows how to actually do this. Basically, you're going to need to have a lot of one block and a lot of that half slab per block. So any other half slab would work, but I'm going to pick matching ones for now. I'm going to use nether brick because you can get a lot of that in the nether, but you can use whatever block you choose, and you want to stack yourself up to about 50 blocks. The higher up you go, the better, and it's a diminishing returns past about 40 or 50 blocks. So we're just going to go up roughly 50 blocks. In this case, that is a little bit under 50, so we'll just go for around 5 more. And make that 50 blocks up. And the reason you want to do this, you might think, why are we going all this way up? It seems like we're just adding risk of death if we fall. Basically, the reason you want to do this and have the big ladder up here is because this is going to allow you to actually, first of all, get to the farm, because you need to build it well above the air. 2, it will allow you to have the observation deck. And 3, the higher up you build those things, because you only really need to have those, about 20 blocks in the sky, the higher up you build them, the less mobs will be taken up by the spawn cap below there. Because mobs have to spawn at least 25 blocks away from you, but they can spawn as far away as almost 100 blocks away, which means that if, right down there could be some more spawning, taking up some of the spawn limit and making the farm less efficient. So if you can waste, if you're willing to go for the slight risk of death or serious risk of death, then you might as well go up about 50 blocks to the top of this, and this is what we're going to do. So this 50 blocks top is going to be roughly, where we start, although we want to go a few blocks down from this because we need to start a little bit lower. because basically, let's just pretend we're going to make it here. It's really tricky to do while you're on the ladder, so we'll just save us some time. We'll go a few blocks below this, because this is going to be the start of our gold farm up there, but to do that, we need to have some blocks down here, and you want to build 25 blocks this way. Like I said, you have to be at least 24 blocks away from the mobs for them to spawn, so your viewing platform has to be at least 24 blocks away from the thing. So yeah, count for 24 blocks this way, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. There we go. Now you've got this. You might look at this and think, Toycat, you've just made a giant right angle. That isn't useful for any gold farming. But in all seriousness, this is actually going to be the start for gold farm, because this is going to be the wall at which you can stare through stuff. So if you want to build this way around as much, just a few blocks that way, and then there's going to be a space, and then there's going to be the first platform. So this is where these zombie pigmen are going to spawn, and the exact length of how long you make them is something that's kind of tricky to decide, because basically the smaller you make the platforms, the easier things will be, but you want to have the platforms be roughly correlated to how many floors you want to go with. So how many floors you want to go with is entirely up to you. I'd recommend for a starting one, 7 floors, but for every floor you add on each side, so when you go up to 9, add 4 blocks to each way, when you go up to 11, add 8 blocks to each way, but for if you're just going for 7 floors, like we are today, you just want to have 12 blocks in each direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You want to do that in each direction. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think I did that counting right. Just to make sure, we'll do it one more time. Again, you want to make sure this is, because, this is the most efficient way to make it, so you're seeing as much as you can. It's all in the right amount formula. So if this is 1, and then this is 1, 2, 3, and this can be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There we go. Do that right? And then what you want to do is you want to have this thing go round. This is actually going to touch the platform, so this can actually save you a little bit of time later. And then this platform's going to be too thick, and it's going to be in the middle. This is the first place where zombie pigmen are actually spawning. And if you've ever built an overworld gold farm, which I assume a decent number of you have, it's actually going to be vaguely reminiscent of that, because we're going to have these zombie pigmen, instead of spawning from portals, they'll just spawn naturally up here, because it's the only place they can spawn. Which, by the way, just for now, if you're in creative, you turn off normal spawning. But yeah, right now they can spawn, and we can prove that in a second. But first of all, let's just place some trapdoors here, because the trapdoors, zombie pigmen have slightly broken logic in Minecraft, at least right now, and it's not being fixed in the foreseeable future. And basically that means that, just like so, what we can do is we can make it so that when the zombie pigmen walk onto this block, they don't realize it's a closed trapdoor, and what they'll do is they'll just walk into it like, oh, this is a block, this is, and then obviously, and then they fall to their death. So if we actually stand on our viewing platform, which is at least 24 blocks away, assuming we're on the right difficulty and mob spawning is on, which I didn't probably check, eventually you'll see that mobs will spawn there, and it will happen slowly bit by bit, but it will in fact happen. Rather than waiting for that. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to build the second platform, because you're not just having one platform here, you're going to have 2 platforms, or you could even have 3 or even 4 if you want to take this really far. Like I said, I'm going to be showing you the kind of basics that you'd want to do. It's going to be really complex with even the basics, so that's why I'm showing you this. You can make it smaller, you can make it bigger, 4, 5, 6 platforms. Bear in mind that there is a point of diminishing returns, because eventually you'll make it so your higher forms won't spawn stuff on there. But if you want to have just as many as possible, go for as many platforms as you feel like. But for me, it's just going to be 2 platforms across, like so. So one thing that I actually realized is we want to go a few blocks below this, so go like 2 blocks this way, because this is the start of the gold farm. But below the gold farm, you want to make sure that you do have access to this, because first of all, you need to have these walls going 2 blocks below this. So again, it's easier if you just have access to this like I do, and you want to have the walls going 2 blocks below, like so, and build around like this. And the reason you want to do this is because it means the zombies can be funneled into the same place, they won't get out and leak through your portal or something. And second of all, it means you can place the ladders on there, because what you want to do is you want to make it so every time they get this low, they get onto a ladder. This is only useful if you're going to turn it into a thing farm later. For the most part, you can just have blocks here. But again, if you want to eventually turn this into a farm you can get XP from, it's useful to have ladders down there, but I realized for this particular example, to keep things simple, let's not use the ladders. So there we go, just like so. We're going to build around that, and now this means that when the zombie pigmen do fall onto any of the various trapdoors we have, they're not going to be able to kind of fall out the edge and do something like that. It means we can collect all the drops into a same place, and it's just something I'd really recommend doing, because it doesn't take too long, but it saves you a lot of pain, and a lot of potential pain later on, because eventually they could max out the spawn count that way, and nobody wants that to happen at all. So just keep on going around like so, and eventually that's that. So what we're going to do next is we're going to finish up this thing down here, and we're also going to place trapdoors on the rest of these. So I'll get back to you in a little bit once we've placed all the trapdoors, and then we can, of course, focus on what comes next. Okay, so now we've built all of the trapdoors, we've made this kind of thing down the edge more standardized, and now we've got an officially working gold farm. I mean, there's so many components missing, but now what will happen if we get away from it, it will spawn gold and that'll be fine. One thing you want to make sure you do, because you might notice I've got 2 blocks missing here, is you want to make sure that you leave 2 blocks of these blank. This means if a magma cube does accidentally spawn up there, which it can rarely do, it'll eventually find its way to this place and it'll bounce its way down. So again, just to make it a little bit safer, place trapdoors, and then that means that it can fit through here, it'll fall down, it'll die, and you'll end up with the odd magma cube in your thing. It's not very common, but on a big enough farm, it does become a problem, so you might as well work for it now, because it's such a simple thing to do. It's just removing 2 blocks now that can save you a lot of pain later. So then what you want to do is you can probably guess what's coming next. Now you've got this, you can work on the next floor. So you want to go up to 7 of these floors, which is going to be, quite the intensive pain here. So basically, you're going to have a lot of things in the corner. If you're doing this in survival, I'd recommend following your little thing along here, making maybe like a little pathway over to these corners, because these corners are going to be the only place you can ladder up. The reason for that is because you're gonna want to have, for first of all, resource saving purposes, and also so you can see in there some little windows like this. So they can't get out for a one wide window, as I'm sure I don't need to tell you, but you can stare at them and you can make sure your gold farm is working. So once you've gone 1 block above where their thing is, so like this, you should be able to look out there. So when you look out, you'll look like this, and when you look in, you'll be able to see the zombie pigmen spawning when they do spawn. So, handy little thing that's kind of important to know. And yeah, that's going to be how you do this all the way around. You can leave out the corners, of course, because corners don't need to be windows, but in this case, we'll just leave 1 corner out. So, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to repeat this several layers up, and it's a pretty simple process to repeat. There's no real complexities to it. It's just like, what we're going to do is we're going to do this, but get this again, 3 blocks up this time though. So you see, we go 1, 2, 3, and then this 4th layer is going to be where we make the next thing. And we're going to be doing this 7 separate times up. Again, I feel like if you have very few resources, I feel like even 3 layers is going to be a decent amount of gold, which can, lead you through to later. But for now, again, just because, if you want to have a substantial farm, which I imagine most of you do, you're going to build for at least 7 floors, because that's going to be nice. Because, the thing is, like even if you have a single Nether portal, you consider that a gold farm in the overworld, but you want to have a lot of Nether portals. And in the same way, if you're going to be doing this, you want to have at least a few floors, and that's why I'm doing that. But if you really don't want to, if you're really just building this as you go, and it's a fun project you make sometimes, as I've been known to do in my Let's Play world, then that's something you can just entirely do. So again, we're going to have the trapdoors, then we do the exact same pattern over and over again, and I'm sure I don't need to show you this after a certain point, but you get the point. So we do the same thing, 3 more layers up, so just 1, 2, 3, 4, and then so on and so forth. And like this, we're going to be going 7 layers up. We'll do that off the video though, because I'm sure seeing the same thing happen over and over again isn't something you need to see. So after we're going to be doing 7 layers up, but what comes next? What happens after you do that? Because I'll come back to this later. You want to go down 23 blocks from where this is. So instead of actually jumping down and going 23 blocks, because that's kind of dangerous, you want to work out the Y level, so Y177, remove 25 from that, or remove like 26 to be safe. We'll remove 27 and just go to Y150. And then we're going to make the collection layer. So the reason we want to make it so close to their rough depth layer is because then you can change it to be a XP farm too. Because for this, we're making it just pure, gold, no XP. But you can change that by adding a few blocks that. And then from here, along your ladder, you want to make sure that you line this up roughly with where they are up there. So this is kind of tricky to do. Again, I'd recommend using coordinates unless you're really good at being like, oh yeah, this is underneath that block. Because for me, I have problems working out, are we under this block or are we under the block next to it? It's hard to tell, but I think this is about right. So here, it's going to be this, and from there, we're going to be able to along here. And yeah, like I said, this is where these slabs come in, by the way. You might question why we have so many slabs on us. Slabs are going to be really important because I've worked out, or at least I'm not going to say I made it myself, but basically, as I was looking at a bunch of designs, one of them used a bunch of hoppers, and then I saw one later that used a Minecraft hopper, and it was so genius. I was like, that needs to be done. So yeah, we can do the exact same thing where we go 12 blocks each way. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12. Make sure you do the exact same as you did up there. And then you want to simulate like you're doing the same thing down here that you did up there. Because you want to have a minecart hopper going along all of this and collecting all of the drops from everywhere they could fall. So, in this case, it's going to be like this. And so this is going to be the first layer out. In fact, this is going to be the first layer out. Then there's going to be the 2 block gap. Then there's going to be another 2 blocks, and so on and so forth. So 1, 2, and then there's going to be another 2. Then there's the edge over here, and then there's the wall. So we need to now fill all of this in with Nether brick. And after that, we're going to be working on the basically, instead of having a bunch of hoppers, because to have this many hoppers, it'd be like, 200 hoppers, they all take about 5 or 7 iron each, which would mean I'd need thousands of, iron. Instead of that, though, we can use a single hopper in a minecart, and it's going to make it work. So, first of all, though, we need to actually fill this gap in, which I'll just do off camera for a second. Okay, so I've completed all of this now, and I also built myself a ladder up here, because you're going to need this coming up and down, and also to work on some stuff underneath, even the minecart, have some hoppers down there. But yeah, let's show you how you actually make this really cool system work, because like I said, I was really impressed that there was a really useful thing for the minecart hopper, because if you have a big area like this, where they could fall down anywhere, also that ghast, something we should watch out for, make sure this is enclosed, and make sure you avoid those. I haven't even seen one properly. There we go, that's a ghast. So, you make sure you watch out for that at all costs in survival. There's a few techniques you can use to watch out for that. I think the biggest one is maybe just building around yourself, like so. So, now you've got this, you can build around that. But again, for now, we're in creative, it won't attack us. So, just to save ourselves some time, we're going to place some powered rails instead of this. And basically, every single middle rail of this, you want to be power rail. Because what we're going to be doing... Actually, wait. What we're going to be doing here... This can be the outside. This can be like an outside thing that connects this all later. But basically, yeah, the inside of this is going to be entirely kind of the way... basically, we want to have a minecart trail, which goes all along this entire thing. And that should be easy enough to understand. You can do it how you want to do it. But I think the way I like and the way I've tested is if you just go like so, where every single time in the middle you have your powered rails, and then you kind of curve around over and over again, then it means that the minecart hopper will go really, really fast around the entire thing. Like, it can do an entire lap of this thing in, like, maybe, let's say, 20 seconds, which is pretty fast, which means that there's never stuff left out there for too long for anything to happen, and it just means it, nyams around and does this whole thing like that. So, yeah, this is a reasonably easy and fast thing to do. But the important bit comes from after this. So, again, we can speed through this quite easily. I think this isn't... Oh, no, we shouldn't have that connect up. This needs to go, so make sure this connects properly. This needs to go all the way around there until it gets to here. Yeah, we're going to be doing this exact same thing over and over again, making sure it connects, having the powered rails. And then underneath this, because, like I mentioned, you're going to be going onto here, you need to do two things. First of all, you need to remove 2 of these blocks anywhere in it, or, like, wherever you want to do it. I'd recommend at least 2. If you're having a really big farm, go 3 or 4. And, I'll just use 4 because it's faster to show. And then instead of, having the netherrack down there, you want to have hoppers. So these hoppers need to be placed into each other. So, actually, and then we want to have a 5th hopper for them all to go into. So we place a hopper there, then place that hopper facing into that hopper, then to the right, to the right, to the right. And this means that as the minecart goes round, it collects all of the things from the blocks above it. But then, as it goes above these blocks, because the rail can actually go directly on top of hoppers, like so, then it can collect into the hoppers, go into there, and then this can be our chest for all we care about, or if we really want to. Yeah, let's make it go into a chest, just because that's easy to see. Then we'll replace this to that. So if we place a chest just under there, then we can make a hopper, which just goes directly into that chest. So let's try and place this, just like we're messing that up a little bit. Hopper into the chest, just like that. So now, all 4 hoppers go into each other, that hopper's going into there, that goes into the chest, and now whatever the minecart picks up, it's going to go in there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just finish up this rail, and we're also going to build a little wall around it, just simulate what you would have, and then I'm going to be showing you what it's going to look like. Okay, so we've placed the rest of the rail, and now what you want to do is underneath all of those rails, because they're powered rails, you want to power them on. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can do this with just redstone torches on a block underneath it, or if you want to, you can make a lower rail than that, and you can place a bunch of levers and just leave them permanently on. In my case, I'll just use redstone torches, because that's how I know best, and... well, like, that's how I like to do it, I should say. Not how I know best, but... and then, with all of that done, now it's all powered, and now, if we place a minecart with hopper on this, it will just, speed around like crazy. So now you've got that going, you can just leave this in permanent operation if you want to. It might need to be repushed every time, something happens, but for the most part, it should just keep going around by itself, because it picks up enough speed that it should be able to go all around the outside. Actually, I think we gave it a long enough pathway that nope, it's going to do it just fine. And then it slows down a little bit for these hoppers too, which is good, because then it means it's going to spend a little bit more time on them, and it shouldn't skip over them. So now what we're going to do is we're going to build the layer on top of this. So, although you could leave this by itself, the zombies might fall and knock it or something, and you don't want that to happen, so what you're going to do is you're going to have a layer on top of this, but a half slab layer. And the fun thing about having a half slab layer like this is it won't interfere with the minecart at all, as I'm sure you know, it just needs to have a home block, but it means that if any blocks are on top of this half slab layer, but like I'll show you in a little bit, actually. So yeah, let's show you with these trapdoors. So we throw a bunch of trapdoors just all over this thing. Then what you actually see is it will pick them up as it goes along. So it's really cool to watch, especially when we get the zombie pigment drops. But for now, you can see that it's going to pick those up. And then, as it comes over here, it scoops one into each of these hoppers. And eventually, we'll get them in this chest. So let's see it happen right there. Apparently, it was going too fast over them, maybe? Because they're... or is it in there? Okay, no, they're in there now, so I was just being too impatient. But yeah, you can see inside the chest now we've got 4 wooden trapdoors. I think it's going to slowly add more each and every time it goes. Yeah, it is. It's going to add 3 for some reason. And then boom. Eventually, it's going to scoop all the drops into one chest. And instead of having 200 hoppers and wasting 1,000 iron, we've just wasted, maybe maybe 100 iron on the rails, a little bit of gold, and now we have a minecart hub, which does it all pretty cool. And it's also pretty awesome to watch. I think it's nice to watch this thing, and yeah, that's that. So again, because you're in the Nether, and there can be ghasts up here spawning on top of your stuff, you want to make sure this is separate stuff, because, you know, if a ghast destroys this, it's going to be kind of disastrous, but you should be pretty fine. So now you have a half slab layer. This is where these zombie pigmen are going to fall, and when they fall, they'll die. They'll drop their drops just randomly there, and then of course the minecart and the hopper is going to scoop round and it's going to pick it up, because this is only a half block here. If you watch my hopper video, then you'll know that basically, yeah, that it can pick it up from a half block. It can even pick it up from carpet and stuff like that, which is pretty cool if you ask me. So yeah, that's that right there. Now let's hopefully start showing you some stuff happening in action, because you know, we've got this stuff down now. Obviously, this needs to be covering the whole thing, which actually, you know, let's just do that now. It's not too much left. And then let's also do a little bit of protection around here, and then let's you know, show you what we're doing upwards again. Okay, so now we've verified the system is all working and stuff, and we've also made it so it's protected from most sides. You don't really need to do that, you know, in this particular case, but for you're probably going to want to do it just for safety. And also you want to bear in mind is with the edges around there, it actually moves a little bit slower because it'll knock into them sometime. So what we did is we added a couple more powered rails just over here. If I punch through the wall for a second, you'll be able to see it. Is it this block? No, it's this block. If I punch through the walls, you can actually just see around here, it actually slows down a lot more than it should. So we have the powered rails just over here. If you want to do the same thing, you can, if you're copying this little bit by little bit. Yeah, that's that right there. What comes next then? So we've done around most of this. We're not doing this just so we can see and diagnose if we need to. But what comes next? So obviously, what comes next is building up there. So if you really want to, if you have the blocks, what you can do, first of all, is you can actually build up all the way from here. So what I'll do in this corner here. You can actually build up all the way from here up to there if you wanted to. So you could build all the way up here and, you know, do that for the entire thing and kind of make this very square little building. Also, have I done something slightly off? No, I haven't. And you can complete the very, very square building and make a giant thing in the sky. I think if you have ghasts and you're scared of them and stuff, that's something you can do. But if you know, honestly, for the most part, you don't need to have this many blocks. That's a waste of several stacks that you might need to use elsewhere. So if you're using a nice block that's not cobblestone or something, then watch out for that. Also, you can see zombie pigmen are spawning here already. But yeah, what comes next is, of course, the part we were on earlier. You now got a functional system. If I show you, so if I just knock him off, because he will fall off eventually. Or in fact, let's let you let's show that he will fall off, even though he's literally on the edge, because he'll just eventually walk to the left a little bit and he'll fall off. So yeah, once he falls off, you'll see that he'll drop down, and then we can show you the actual thing working, but just for a single thing. So he dropped, in his case, a single rotten flesh and a single gold nugget, and eventually you can hear the minecart hopper slowly going around. It scoops them up. Isn't that cool just to see it like, ooh, they just magically disappeared? And eventually we should be able to see those drop into this chest here, and indeed we do. Some gold nuggets and some rotten flesh in the chest like that. So let's put our other one in there. And now, obviously, eventually, if you want to make this a big farm, you need to have a bigger chest system than a single chest. But for now, that's a pretty good working system, right? Mobs spawn, they fall off, they go down there, and it's working. So again, with 2 layers, it is just fine, but we want to have more than 2 layers. We're not just a 2-layer Jimmy or some derogatory term for that. We want to go up for 7 layers. So what we're going to do next is we now need to, obviously, like I earlier mentioned, is we need to kind of loop this thing over and over again, going up and up and up, leaving 3 blocks from each one, doing the exact same design, and go as tall as you really want to. Again, although you should have prepared this earlier. So because we said we do 7 layers, we're going to go up to 7 layers, and we're going to make that happen. So we'll get back to you in a second once we've gone 7 layers up, and you should be able to see the efficiency in work after that. Okay, so now we've done 4 layers of it so far, of the possible 7, and the reason this is significant is because 4 is going to be the middle layer, which means this is where our observation deck, or our viewpoint, or whatever we call it, give it a cool name like observation deck, or just call it the place you look at things from, whatever we call it, is where we're going to be, you know, actually building next, because this is something you need to build on whatever your middle layer is. So if you've got 19 layers, you want it to be on layer 10. If you have 27 layers, make it on layer 14, or this point at that point. If you have 3 layers, make it on layer 2. You get the point, middle layer of all the layers you have. And in this case, it's layer 4. So you want to make it just parallel with where the spawning is on that. So I think this is 1 block down from where we are. And then make it 24 blocks away. If you get 24 blocks away from the precise point there, that's going to be perfect. And just like so, we're going to be doing that. And this is where you can stand AFK and just watch the mobs spawn and watch them fall, because we've got the holes through the thing. Obviously, in the top layer, we don't yet. And that means if you just stand here for long enough, you'll eventually start seeing some mobs spawning. So, because there's a lot of layers, a lot of things happening, you can see one's fallen down there and landed on the side somehow and survived, which is impressive, which is probably why you should make sure those are a little bit taller. But yeah, just like that. If we go right down Lincoln, we should now start to see some mob spawning on the inside of here. And I missed out some of the blocks here. So give me a second and we'll be back. Okay, so now we have, what we did was we fixed the trapdoors that weren't there, and we also tried to work out what the issue was, because I had nothing spawn for a long time, and I realized I just had to go out of the world, come back in, and just like that, you can see down there, I'm going to get too close to them for more to spawn, but you can see we've got some spawning down here, and we should have some spawning in between. And basically, if it's ever not working, just make sure you are the minimum 24 blocks away. They cannot spawn if you're in 24 blocks them. So you can see I'm at X minus 55 here, right? Or Y 85. If this is within 24 blocks, which it's just outside the range of, then we should be fine. But we'll have to wait and see, I guess, as it goes along. Because they're only spawning at the bottom right now, which does make me slightly suspicious. So we're going to keep on waiting, and as with any gold farm, you just kind of wait. They eventually fall off, and they should only be able to spawn here, so that's going to be great. So I'm going to just leave it a little bit, and we'll see how many zombie pigmen we collect with just our 4 layers we have so far. And then we'll work on the rest of the layers and get that done. Okay, so we've built all 7 layers, and so far, it's been pretty cool. Like, every now and then we're getting zombie pigments drop in, but it should be working a little bit better than this, and I assume it's because, you know, if we need to pop in and out the Nether, and a lot of the spawn caps taken up down below, or maybe we just need to restart the game. So I'm going to do both those things. Always something you should do when you're having just weird spawning issues, and apparently, see, we can get a gas, but we've only had 2 zombie pigment in the past, maybe like, I don't know, a minute I've been staring at this. So yeah, we need to fix that, but as you can see, it's all finished now, and we just need to back out and back in. So I'm going to have to go and do that, and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so we're back, and I'll be honest, it's actually been like 6 hours since the last bit, because I had to suddenly go while I was working everything out. So what I just did is I exited and I saved. I tried to go back in, the world crashed, which made me think that something really went wrong, but now we're here. This hopefully isn't something you have to do, but if it is, just exit and save. You can't actually come back to the Nether when you exit and save. You have to go all the way back through, go up, you know, use the ender pearls again. Once you're back here, it should start working like normal, and as you can see, there is some zombie pigmen behind me, as well as a magma cube. So, yeah, basically, the pro tip here is, sometimes things just don't work. So I did fix one thing between then and now, which you might want to do yourself, because up here, you know, in the same way before I just had this like gap, you can either make the gap up here, or you can just make it a block higher, because otherwise sometimes they spawn up here and they'll walk onto here, whereas, you know, if it's up like this, then they can't walk off, and it just means they'll fall down to their death. So yeah, now we've got the you know, the zombie pigmen spawning in, doing their thing. One of them somehow walked out here. One thing you want to bear in mind after this, because something I've noticed how zombie pigmen seem to be spawning everywhere, not just the internal place they should be spawning, but also out here, is that you want to make sure everything is a half slab. Mobs cannot spawn on the half slab is the bottom half of a block. So, okay, for instance, you know, this thing right here, if we make it the bottom half, like that, then it means no mobs can spawn there. It just means that your mob camp won't be taken up by stuff like this, which, by the way, when they do spawn, easy enough to just punch them like that, and the problem is gone. So, yeah, just like that. Now, as you can see, all of the zombie pigmen are going to start falling down, and now the gold farm can begin. So, yeah, although, you know, this is an insane gold farm compared to the overworld versions, it's still not, you know, quite a, compare it to, like, a rotten flesh farm where you can get literally tens of thousands per hour. It's probably going to be in the thousands. I see results of somewhere in the, you know, like 100 gold, 1,000 gold, 10,000 gold, depending on how, you know, much you scale it up. This is something we're going to have to actually do a little bit of testing with. I think what we'll do is we'll stand on a little platform. Remember the one we built earlier? We're going to stand here. We're going to face the other way because, you know, maybe they're just, you know, shy. And, yeah, we're going to face the other way, and then I'm going to give it about, let's say, 5 minutes. That seems like a good sample size. And then we'll check the chest, and we'll work out how many golden hour you can get from this, because I know some people love those gold per hour calculations, and, yeah, let's get them for you. Okay, so it's been just over 5 minutes since I actually, just before I started the timer, I was like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure everything's half slabs, because I saw a bunch spawn down here, and I was like, that's going to take up some stuff. But it's been 5 minutes. As you can see, the farm has been going along a little bit slower than in my head it was going, but still, it's been going. And we're going to test how many, like, stuff we've got, because we're on at roughly 5, I mean, we had 5 gold nuggets in there before, and 4 rotten flesh, or maybe it was 5 and 6 and 4 and... Either way, there's somewhere in the region of 5 before, and I don't expect too many. Oh, well, it's going to go up in a few seconds, but I don't expect too many. But so far, we have 9, so that's 4 gold nuggets. But interesting enough, I noticed this, we actually got wither skeletons spawning. So we have 3 bones in there, as well as 5 rotten flesh. So as far as just gold, 4 in 5 minutes isn't actually particularly amazing. It means this is... Oh, I guess they'll probably go up in a second, but that means we're probably doing somewhere in the region of, you know, like 60, 70 an hour, which, you know, is you know, it's enough to make like a, I guess that'd be almost like a full enchanted golden apple just for standing there. But yeah, I guess this means work on expanding it. Work on, you know, maybe it's something sort of the console spawning system, but this, you know, even though it's a pretty, you know, functional system, it seems to just work in a very bizarre way. So Maybe there's something that's gone slightly wrong here. Either way, I'm going to be experimenting with this a bit more. I'll let you know in the comments and stuff, and you can read those from people's experiences if there's like a weird console bug that's making it happen. Because like I said, every time I exit and re-get into the world, everything seems to work magically, and you get loads of spawns. Sometimes you're just spawning with skeletons, and I wonder if it's because I use, the Nether brick here instead of everything else. Maybe it's that, maybe it's something else. Either way, yeah, this is the gold farm. This is a pretty effective gold farm, at least from the experiences I've had personally, and I really do like it. I mean, it looks very weird. It has a bunch of, weird moving parts to it, but I really like making it. I think it's one I'd recommend doing, because, if you just go AFK for a night, let's say that's 12 hours, that's like 1,000, or just under 1,000 gold. My maths is terrible. That's like 720 gold, and if you just make it a little bit bigger, a little bit better, then you can up that even more. So yeah, this is the basis of a potentially amazing design to get yourself thousands of gold every minute or hour, or not minute, but thousands of gold an hour. If you want to take it, then go back through and watch it step by step and do it in your world. That's what I recommend anyway. If you ever need to slow it down, remember there is a 0.5 times speed. People always tell me to slow down, and what I say instead is there's a 0.5 speed option for a reason, and it makes me sound slightly drunk. So if you want to give the video a second watch, that's how you can do it. But otherwise, hope you all enjoyed it. I'm going to go edit this all together now, because that's the thing I've got to do, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.